everything that we're recommending.
I think it's a very good idea. My personal opinion is that we need to, I don't know that I would term it as getting in compliance with ADA so much as making all of our facilities, you know, accessible to people with disabilities. I think it's vitally important, and it's hard when you're dealing with 1930s circa facilities, but that's not something that we don't need to address. We need to do everything we can so that if someone needs to see one of you, that they can get there in a way that is appropriate, as opposed to having to bring you to them. I think that's inadequate, and we need to address that. And
also give the citizens a place to come to, and so we're not sitting here hashing out a bunch of things. We can do it as a committee and come back with recommendations.
I think that's an excellent idea.
And I like to see how many things like we can do in-house. I really would like to see things that we can do in-house, and that's tangible. We can do it now to help out, because we are really awesome, and I know this. Throughout the years, we have been awesome in doing these kind of things.
What I've got right now is John Medina, Todd Darden, Kenny Davis, Peggy Walker. I would want Gary for you to be involved with that. And are there a couple of council people who would like to be involved in this process? Mr. Ramirez? Ms. Horton, you would also? And then one more. Anyone? We've got two, and
you said two, that you were going for three?
yeah, I would like to. If there's anyone else, obviously we could have one more. Okay.
I was going to suggest Mr. Biddison, since he's not here.
Well, Ms. Sugaran, do we need to bring this before? I mean, can I appoint that committee, or do we need to bring that as a formal item?
I think if y'all just want to go ahead and authorize you to appoint the committee, or just authorize the committee now as far as.
If it's all right with you all,
Specific makeup.
I'm going to authorize that committee. Is that okay with everyone? Cool. And so it'll be
If
Stephanie, Troy, Manny, John, Todd, Kenny, Peggy, and Gary. Is that all right?
And me as advisor, or just?
Oh, I don't know. We don't want to.
You don't want me on it? Okay.
Obviously, yes. We need you.
I've got a couple of quick questions. Todd, I heard you mention the COG earlier. Is that the entity that you applied for the grant, or is that a different entity?
That was a different entity. It was a local foundation. The COG, the statute states that any time you receive federal funds from the feds, like the block grants where we use it for housing, where you have those people coming to utilize that service, then your facility where it offers that service has to be in compliance.
But the grant you made was with a private foundation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Wesley Waite wanted to speak to this.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Wesley Waite. Some of this might sound redundant, but last evening I attended the celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King at the Municipal Auditorium. Unfortunately, I was unable to stay for the entire program because my sister needed to use the restroom, and there are no restroom facilities available at the auditorium for people in wheelchairs. Many of you here this evening spoke last night, and some of you even waxed quite poetically about the accomplishments of Dr. King and his positive contributions with regard to discrimination, justice, injustice, and equality. Many of your statements, although complimentary to a great man, do not resonate for the citizens of Big Spring who live with disabilities that preclude them from attending city events and functions, whether at the auditorium, the 4th of July celebration at the amphitheater, the public swimming pool, or even being able to enter City Hall without assistance from another person. I do not believe for a second that any one of you is guilty of harboring a hate or dislike for the disabled. You are all, however, guilty of wearing blinders for the last 17 years when the Americans with Disability Act became the law of the land. I will acknowledge that you have attempted to become compliant with ADA law. However, you have failed. I want to refresh your memories of such an attempt. In March of 2004, you, as a city council, passed an ordinance that amended Chapter 15 of the Big Spring City Code regarding subdivision regulations, and you passed it unanimously. In that amended ordinance, you clearly stated that all new buildings and/or when 50% value is added to an existing building, sidewalks and curb ramps will be required and in place before a certificate of occupancy is issued. If you would like, I can point out some of these buildings to you. But will one of you please tell me why the city would issue a certificate of occupancy for a building that is clearly in non-compliance with a city ordinance?
There would be no reason for that.
Okay, but you have. So, but if in fact you had enforced this ordinance, it would have gone a long way in helping us achieve compliance without ever using taxpayer money. What good is an ordinance if you will not enforce it? We are now faced with the arduous task of bringing our city into compliance with federal law. Hard, but far from impossible. It will require intelligent and creative minds as well as an entrepreneurial spirit. I trust you're all up to the task, and if you're not, maybe it's time to look at other careers. And for the benefit of the people who want to see a woman in a wheelchair try and get up that ramp in City Hall, we're here with a woman in a wheelchair tonight. And after this meeting, we can probably all adjourn and go out front. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. If I may respond to that, prior to your presentation, I feel that there was a unanimous consent among this council that said specifically that we want to address those issues, that we recognize the issues as something that we need to address, and we in fact appointed a committee to address those issues. I wish we could do them tomorrow. I wish they were done right now, but we can in fact do them and take care of them, and I pledge to you that we will do something about it, and I appreciate you coming before us tonight.
And you will give us an answer then on your March 2004 amended ordinance on the city building code, and all the buildings that have been built in Big Spring from that time on that do not have sidewalks and do not have curb cuts and that are currently occupied for business.
And sir, if you would provide a list of those buildings that you find out of compliance, if you would provide that to our building inspector, then I will certainly expect them to come back to us with a report to tell us why they are not in compliance. And I appreciate you bringing that to our attention. Is there anything else? Would entertain a motion to approve the consideration of a transition plan by Mr. Ramirez, seconded by Ms. Horton. Call for the vote. Approved unanimously.